Let's talk about folk art. Folk art can look different depending on the style of the artist. Traditional folk artists are usually self-taught or taught by someone in their family. In traditional folk art, the craft is passed down from generation to generation. Folk art is not meant to look realistic and is unique from artist to artist. Many folk artists paint landscapes that show beautiful patterns and bright, cheerful colors, like this artist, Heather Galler. Here is another example of a landscape by another artist named Carla Gerard. Her landscape looks different, but is still just as beautiful. Other folk artists might choose to paint things like people, flowers, or animals. Here, the artist, Sandra Silberswag, has painted fish. The fish do not look realistic, and we can see tons of interesting patterns in her work. The patterns and colors fill the entire space. There is no part of her artwork that is left blank. Something else I notice is that she creates her paintings using dark lines and fills in the shapes and spaces with bright, bold colors. Our folk art today is going to be inspired by the fish paintings of Sandra Silberswag. We will draw the fish with a thick black marker and add lines, patterns, and colors. Let's get started. We will start by drawing the 3 fish in the middle of the paper, and then we'll add the designs later on. Now I notice that the fish is kind of like a football shape, or like the shape of an eye. So I am going to use that shape, that kind of curved kind of line, to start out. And I'm going to start in the middle of my paper with the middle fish first, and then add the others on top and bottom. So starting with a curved line, and then an inverted line, which means a curved line that goes the opposite direction. And I'm leaving some empty space at the corners for the tail, using 2 diagonal lines and then a straight line to connect. And then the mouth, you can close that and bring the lines together, or you can leave some space and use some diagonal lines to connect to make an open mouth like I did. It's up to you, whatever you choose to do. All right, I'm going to draw the top fish with the same kind of lines, but I think this time my fish is going to be going in the opposite direction. So the tail is going to be on the right side and the mouth is going to be on the left side. And this time I'm going to close the mouth. So I'm just going to connect that little empty space. And now down here at the bottom, I have a little bit of space, so my fish is going to be a little bit skinnier. That's okay. And I'm going to alternate again and make the fish going in the opposite direction. And this one I think I'll close as well, the mouth. All right, now it's time to go ahead and add some of those details. So I'm going to use some circle shapes for eyes, fill them in, and then start adding some of those line designs inside the body of the fish. And this part you can get as creative as you want. Think about the different lines that you know, the different varieties of lines like straight lines, curving lines, zigzag lines, wiggly lines. It's totally up to you. This is your artwork and you are the artist, so you get to make those choices. You don't have to copy what I'm doing. In fact, I encourage you to think up your own design because I want to see your own wonderful original work of art. All right, now that I've finished the designs inside the fish, now it's time to add some designs and lines on the background or the areas around the fish and behind the fish. So all I'm really going to do is just start drawing some lines. I'm using straight lines, but hey, if you'd like to use a different kind of a line to break up that space in the background, that's great. You go right ahead. Remember, this is your original work of art, so you do not necessarily have to copy exactly what I am doing. You are the artist, so you get to make those decisions for yourself, and they are a-okay. So I'm just going to continue breaking up that space, and now I'm going to start adding in different patterns that I can think of in my imagination. So things like circles, lines, triangles, squares, hearts, stars, whatever you choose is fine with me. I can't wait to see your original designs when they are finished. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit so that we can move on to the next part. Alright, when you finish drawing everything, then it's time to move on to coloring. I used crayons for mine, and I decided to go with a warm and cool color theme. I decided to color the fish with warm colors and then the background using only cool colors so that I have some nice opposite effect going on here. Remember, if you decide to use warm colors, they are shades of reds, oranges, and yellows. If you decide to use cool colors, they are shades of blues, greens, and violets. Just keep in mind that no matter what colors you choose, make sure you fill the entire space.